Hello, people. It's a glorious day to be alive, and it's a glorious day for a mini training on the 3 reasons why you need content pillars in your business and how it will drastically transform your clarity and confidence when showing up on all the socials and when showing up for your clients. So, without further ado, if you are unclear on what a content pillar is, let me break it down for you. A content pillar is that thing that you talk about in your business all the time, or it's that thing that you can talk about for hours with little to no preparation. I really like to compare it to your zone of genius, and your zone of genius is that thing that people come to you for. They know you're like a magician at whatever it is that you do. And so let's say like someone were to come up to you and ask you to code to their website or do this or do that, help like fix their car, and you quickly do it for them and they're like, oh my gosh, you just saved me a boat ton of time, energy, and just like saved my sanity for the day. Because to truth be said, like if they were to try and do it themselves, it would have taken them hours, days, or they would have just given up and been so frustrated with the entire process. So that is what your zone of genius is. It's that thing that you do better than anyone else, that thing that people come to you for. So a content pillar is directly correlated and related to that zone. So some examples of what a zone of genius could be looks like maybe you coach about ethical farming practices or social media marketing or launching a book or homeschooling your kids. Now, this is something that I'm going to dive into, that last one, homeschooling your kids, because I'm sure a lot of mamas and some dads have had the pleasure and blessing of homeschooling their kids this year due to COVID-19. So I would like to kind of break down what a content pillar is by giving you some examples of what some pillars for a homeschooling coach could be. So I came up with 4 pillars right before this that I think could be lovely to coach on, and that is schedule, mindset, nourishment, and movement. So those are the 4 pillars you could coach on if you were a homeschool coach. This is a little example for you. So the first thing is schedule. How to schedule your day and your kids' day in such a way that gets the most out of both of your time and energy. So that could be schedule. Pillar 2 could be your mindset. You could coach on how to start your day or how to start teaching each subject with a simple 5-minute mindset ritual. And then the third thing could be nourishment. Now this one just hits home to me because I am also a certified health coach and personal trainer. So I am like all things real food and real nourishment. And what a lot of people do not know is that our food industry is filled with BS, and all of these foods marketed to your children are filled with artificial preservatives, artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, and a boatload of sugar. And you know what all of this does? It is directly correlated to ADD and ADHD within children. So if I were a coach coaching about homeschooling to parents, nourishment would 100% be one of the things I coach parents about, because it's something that is often overlooked, and we often just opt for the quick and easy meal, the bowl of cereal, the sugar-filled yogurt with some sugary granola on top. And those are things that look healthy because they're just filled with vitamins and minerals, but that's actually just a lie and manipulation and corruption of the food and beverage industry. And that is why your child may be having a hard time focusing and maybe struggling a lot with brain fog. So that would be something you could coach on if you were a homeschool coach. The last thing I talked about as a pillar could be movement. And like we all know that movement is a very beneficial thing we can do each day. So Maybe you can coach on how often you and your kid could get up and move. And should it be like taking a walk around the block in some fresh air, or can it be as quick as doing like 20 jumping jacks and you're good? Like those are different aspects you can coach on. So that's the power of having pillars, because you know exactly what you can talk about each day, each week, each quarter of your business. For instance, like you could take these 4 pillars and just coach on each pillar for 1 week out of the month. So for the first week out of the month, you could talk about schedule. For the second week out of the month, you can talk about mindset. For the third week, nourishment. For the fourth week, movement. Or if you want to go into like vast depth, you can literally chunk these out into quarters and just spend an entire quarter coaching on schedule, an entire quarter coaching on mindset, etc., etc. So if you're kind of unclear on what your pillars could be, I want you to first get clear on your zone of genius. I think this is the step that comes before mapping out your pillars. And so what I do to map out my zone of genius and help others map out theirs is simply draw a giant Venn diagram in your journal. It's those 2 overlapping circles. And in one circle is your passions, and the other circle is your strengths. And then that little part intersecting between both of the circles, that is your zone of genius. So it's when your strengths and your passions merge to create this money-making zone, this thing that people come to you for and know you for. This is the thing you talk about and preach every single day. It's what you believe is like the secret sauce to life. So once you get clear on your zone, then you'll have so much more clarity as to how you can build your pillars. So you might start out with having like 3 pillars, and then like a couple years later or a couple months down the road, you're like, oh my gosh, I have 2 really good pillars that I think I could add to this model. And then you can just simply add those 2 other pillars, and boom, there you have it. Then you have 2 more things you can show up and talk about to your clients and over social media. So that's the first thing, get clear on your zone, and then you can get clear on your pillars. And then a immediate byproduct of getting clear on both of those things is then you'll have clarity in the message that you're projecting to your audience. So this is the message that stems directly from your pillars and directly from your zone. And this is the message that attracts the dream audience of your dreams. Because if you don't have pillars or like things that you're kind of like standing by, it's going to be very, very hard to attract your dream client. So these 3 things, they all feed off of each other: your zone, your pillars, and your message, and they're all connected. So with that being said, I now want to get into the 3 reasons of why you need content pillars in your business now. So reason number 1 is that you're going to have clarity in what you can talk about each week. I've kind of hit on this a little bit already, but point being is that there's no more stressing out about what to talk about on social media, on your live stream, in a blog or a podcast, or your email newsletter that you send out each week. Instead, you're going to have these pillars to turn to for creative inspiration and turn into valuable posts. Now, I'm sure that if you're a coach or a business owner or CEO, you're a part of a handful of Facebook groups, and you'll notice that within these groups, in order to promote yourself, you need to give at least 2 to 3 times the amount of value. So you don't want to just show up in a group and like pitch yourself, tell them what you have to sell, and then dip out. No, you need to be providing value. That is how you build community and connection with people. And this is what your pillars are for. So if you're like showing up in a group and you're like, I don't know what the hell to talk about today, like what do they want to hear? You literally just talk about your pillars, and there you have it. Simple as that. So that's reason number 1. You'll have clarity in what you can talk about each week. Reason number 2 is you're going to build a know, like, and trust factor with your audience. So A know, like, and trust factor is how you build relationship. Relationship equals sales, okay? All day, every day. This is like the most important thing or like tip when it comes to sales is literally just build your relationship. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over weeks and months and years to build that know, like, and trust. But I want you to look at people that you buy from or that you take advice from. So an example that I want to give you here is this makeup company that I'm sure you've heard of, Glossier. They've like rapid fire just scaled so quickly over the past couple years. But what some of you may not know is that 90% of their income comes from influencer marketing, not paid marketing. 90%. How wild is that? And so the reason being, companies like Glossier will literally send their products to an influencer who has built that know, like, and trust factor with their audience, because they know that when they send these samples to this influencer, they're going to try them out, love them, and then share them with their audience. And then it doesn't take long for their audience to hop on that Glossier bandwagon and just use their products. So that is the power of not only influencer marketing, but the power of building a know, like, and trust factor with your community. Because people buy from people that they know, that they like, and that they trust. Boom. Simple as that. It all comes down to building a relationship with your audience, guys. So every day when you wake up, I want you to ask yourself, how can I build a relationship, a genuine relationship with my audience today? Booyah, booyah. That's point number 2, the know, like, and trust factor. So reason number 3, my third and final point for y'all today, is having pillars establishes you as an expert in your industry. So I've probably already kind of touched on this point too, but I want to just hit it into the wall today. It establishes you as an expert, aka you're gonna be you're gonna be the genius of your zone. So again, if you're unclear of what your zone is, literally make a Venn diagram and map it out during your like daily morning journaling ritual like I do. People pay people for their zone of genius. So when people see you constantly showing up, sharing these pillars, providing so much value and knowledge and takeaways for them to improve their life and reach toward their dreams and desires and alleviate those pain points and frustrations that they have, they are going to be way more likely to pay you and trust you and like you. And the more and more credibility you're going to build. So today, again, I want you to take a moment and just sit down and think, what can my pillars be that I can talk about with my audience every single day? What do they want to hear? What do I love to talk about? What just comes so naturally to me? Feel free to take my examples of a homeschool coach, scheduling, what did I even talk about? Scheduling, nourishment, movement, and mindset. So those are just a simple example. And maybe these won't come overnight, but they'll definitely come the more and more you interact with your audience and see what they need to hear. So that, my friends, is the 3 reasons of why you need content pillars in your business. Have a lovely Thursday. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next week.